So, let's start with a really big question. Probably one of the biggest. Are we just, well, these physical bodies? Or is there something more to us? I mean, it's a question humans have been asking forever, and today we're going to dive right into the heart of that philosophical debate.
And look, this is way more than just some abstract puzzle for philosophers to chew on, right? This is a question that's been on the table for thousands of years. And honestly, the answer, it gets to the very core of how you and I understand ourselves, what our consciousness even is, and where we fit in the whole grand scheme of things.
Okay, so where do we even start with a question that massive? Well, it turns out the whole debate really comes down to two main teams, two competing views, and they each have a totally different answer to that big question.
All right, so here it is, the heart of the whole thing. On one side, you've got what's called dualism. This is the idea that a person is a body plus something extra, something non-physical we call a soul. And then on the other side, you've got physicalism, which says, nope, a person is just a body. That's it. The whole fight, the entire debate, it all boils down to that one thing. Does this separate, immaterial soul actually exist?
Now hold on, because it's super important to get this right. The physicalist view isn't saying we're just, walking lumps of clay. Not at all. What it's saying is that we're incredibly complex, amazing biological machines that have a really special set of abilities. Things like thinking, feeling, making plans, being creative. It's not so much about what we're made of, but about what our bodies can do.
And check out this analogy, because it really makes the physicalist point click. They'd say that talking about a mind is kind of like talking about a smile. I mean, a smile isn't an extra thing you have on your face, right? It's just something your face does. And that's what they're saying the mind is. It's not a separate part. It's just one of the incredible things the body does.
So this is a really, really key distinction for the physicalist. The mind is not the brain. Think of it like a computer. The brain, that's the physical hardware, the circuits and chips. But the mind? Well, that's the software running. It's the program in action. It's what happens when that hardware is all powered up and functioning. I mean, your brain still exists after you die, but according to this view, your mind is completely gone.
So what is death then for a physicalist? Well, think about smashing an old boombox. All the pieces are still there, right? The speakers, the wires, the plastic casing. But it can't play music anymore. It's lost its function. From this point of view, that's death. The soul doesn't go anywhere. The body just breaks. And the music, the post-functioning, just stops.
Okay, physicalism lays out a pretty neat and tidy case. But that brings up a massive problem for the dualists, for the folks who believe in the soul. And it's a big one. If you can't see a soul, or touch it, or measure it in any way, how on earth do you argue that it's actually there?
Well, it turns out we argue for things we can't see all the time, not just in philosophy, but in science and everyday life. We use a method that's basically called finding the best explanation. The idea is really simple. When you're faced with a mystery, you don't just grab the first explanation that comes along. You look for the one that makes the most sense, the best possible fit.
Here's a perfect example. For ages, people got sick and nobody knew why. One explanation was, oh, it must be invisible demons. I mean, that's an explanation. But then along comes germ theory, which says people get sick because of tiny, invisible microorganisms. Now, which one is better? Germ theory by a landslide. Why? Because it explains things so much better, it lets us predict how diseases spread, and, this is the big one, it actually helps us cure people.
So that's the strategy for the dualist. The whole argument for the soul comes down to this one challenge. Can they find something about us, some mystery of human experience, that physicalism just can't explain? If the idea of a soul provides a better explanation, if it's a better key to unlock that mystery, then maybe, just maybe, it's the right answer. All right, so let's put these two ideas head to head. Let the debate begin. For round one, we're going to start with the pretty fundamental mystery about being human.
I mean, we all know this, right? A living, animated body is just fundamentally different from a corpse. There's an obvious difference. But what is it? What's the secret ingredient that makes something alive?
And right here, you see the two sides clash perfectly. The dualist's answer, you need a soul. The soul is what animates the body. It's the ghost in the machine. Without it, the body is just an empty shell. But the physicalist comes back and says, whoa, not so fast. It's not about some extra spooky ingredient, it's just about function. A corpse is a broken machine. All the parts are there, but they just aren't working together anymore.
Okay, so in round one, you could argue the physicalist has a pretty solid, straightforward answer. But what about something a little more complex than just being alive versus being dead? Let's raise the stakes for round two.
This is where the dualist really brings the fight. They'll say, okay, fine, but what about thinking?
What about reasoning? Can a machine, a purely physical thing, really have beliefs and desires? Can it strategize? Or do you need something non-physical, a soul, to pull that off?
But the physicalist has a pretty killer comeback, and it comes straight from modern technology, a chess-playing computer. I mean, think about it. It's a purely physical machine, just circuits and code. But we talk about it like it has goals. It wants to win. We say it has beliefs. It thinks my king is in danger. It clearly reasons and plans its moves. This seems to be a direct hit against the idea that only a soul can think.
But this is where the dualist pivots. They'll say, sure, the computer is calculating, but it doesn't feel anything. It's just running a program. It doesn't actually feel the excitement of a brilliant move or the dread of losing. It doesn't have real desires. And just like that, the argument moves away from cold, hard reason and into a much trickier territory, feelings.
And this, my friends, brings us to what might be the final battleground in this whole debate. It's probably the toughest question for physicalism to answer. So let's forget about chess and calculations for a second. Let's talk about feeling. Think about this. Could a purely physical being fall in love? Could a machine feel real fear or hope or that awful sinking feeling you get in your gut when you get really bad news? This rich inner world of subjective experience, of emotion, that's the toughest nut for physicalism to crack. Can a complex jumble of atoms and electricity ever truly explain what it's like to be you? Now that is a question worth thinking about.